Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of British Rewind, where we dive deep into the most electrifying moments from our favorite TV talk shows. Today, we're unraveling one of the most shocking incidents in morning television history, the infamous clash that led to Dame Judi Dench being kicked off Lorraine Kelly's ITV show after a heated argument that left viewers stunned and social media ablaze. It was September 20th, 2025, a crisp autumn day in London, when the nation tuned in expecting light-hearted banter about Judi's latest film project, a poignant drama titled Shadows of Elegance, where she portrayed a resilient widow navigating the complexities of aging in modern society. Lorraine Kelly, the ever-energetic Scottish host known for her warm yet probing style, welcomed Judi with her signature enthusiasm, the studio lights gleaming off the polished set adorned with autumnal floral arrangements and a massive screen teasing upcoming segments on royal updates and celebrity fitness tips. As the cameras rolled, the audience of about 200, a mix of loyal fans and invited guests, applauded warmly for the 90-year-old Oscar winner, whose presence alone elevated the show's ratings by an estimated 15% that week. Judi, dressed in an elegant emerald green blouse that complemented her sharp wit and piercing blue eyes, settled into the plush velvet chair, her posture impeccable despite the subtle signs of macular degeneration that she had openly discussed in past interviews. Lorraine kicked things off with praise for Judi's career, from her iconic M in the James Bond series to her heartfelt performance in Philomena. But it wasn't long before the conversation veered into trickier territory: Judi's outspoken views on the state of British theatre post-pandemic. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this meltdown, we must rewind a bit further, to the green room preparations that set the stage for what would become tabloid gold. Judi Dench arrived at the ITV studios around 7:45 a.m., her driver navigating the early morning traffic on the A40, a thermos of Earl Grey in hand to steady her nerves. She had confessed in her memoir, and furthermore, to a lifelong aversion to promotional interviews, preferring the quiet intensity of rehearsal rooms over flashing lights. Her team, a tight-knit group including a makeup artist who'd worked with her since Mrs. Brown, and a young assistant handling her script notes, buzzed with excitement. This appearance was meant to plug Shadows of Elegance, a film critics were already hailing as a late-career triumph for its unflinching look at grief and reinvention. Lorraine, meanwhile, was in her element, having hosted the show since 2010 with a blend of Scottish charm and journalistic grit, her wardrobe that day a vibrant tartan skirt suit nodding to her heritage. Pre-show briefings had been cordial. Producers outlined segments on Judi's bond with Ian McKellen, her co-star in the film, and a fun trivia bit on Bond gadgets, steering clear of politics or ageism debates that had dogged Judi's recent press junkets. Yet, beneath the surface, tension simmered. Lorraine had just wrapped a segment criticizing arts funding cuts in her monologue, aligning with government pushes for modern relevance in culture, a stance Judi had publicly lambasted in a Times op-ed the week prior, calling it a betrayal of our creative heritage. As Judi sipped her tea, flipping through notes on her iPad with enlarged text for her vision, she shared anecdotes with the crew about her garden in Surrey, where she tended roses named after Shakespearean heroines, a serene contrast to the storm brewing. The heart of the storm unfolded in those blistering 90 seconds. A verbal joust that encapsulated decades of industry evolution and personal passions colliding on national television. With the commercial tease barely out of the way, Lorraine steered back post-break, her smile a touch tighter, announcing, "We're back with the incomparable Dame Judi Dench, and let's pick up on that fiery chat about theater's future." The audience, now buzzing like a hive, clapped politely, but the energy had shifted. Phones were up, capturing every nuance for TikTok breakdowns. Judi, receded with poise but a steely glint in her eye, acknowledged the applause with a wry smile, murmuring, "Resilient as ever, aren't we?" Lorraine dove in, framing her follow-up as balanced. "Dame Judi, you mentioned ruins. Surely the arts need shaking up to survive economic pressures?" Judi nodded thoughtfully at first, conceding points on digital streaming's role in broadening access, referencing her own foray into voice work for audiobooks during lockdowns. "Technology is a tool, not a tyrant," she elaborated, her hands weaving invisible threads to illustrate connection. But then Lorraine pivoted sharply, citing a viral tweet from a young playwright accusing boomer gatekeepers of stifling innovation, a subtle jab that landed like shrapnel. "Don't you think it's time for fresh blood to lead?" Lorraine asked, her eyebrows arched in challenge. Judi's response was immediate, a torrent held back too long. "Fresh blood? I've mentored more fresh talents than you've had hot dinners, and most fizzle without the roots we veterans provide." The studio erupted in scattered cheers, particularly from the older demographic in the crowd, while younger sections exchanged wide-eyed glances. Undaunted, Lorraine leaned in, her Scottish lilt sharpening. "But roots can strangle growth, can't they? Look at the Olivier Awards. Diversity nominations are up, yet winners skew traditional. As the red light dimmed and the theme music faded into pre-recorded chatter, the immediate aftermath inside the studio was a whirlwind of whispered apologies, averted eyes, and hurried cleanups that belied the emotional rubble left behind. Lorraine, still seated with her notes clutched like a shield, exhaled deeply, her makeup unflappable but her cheeks flushed, a rare crack in the host's armor honed over 30 years on air. The audience, dismissed with polite thanks and goodie bags of ITV-branded mugs, filed out in clusters, their conversations a cacophony of "Did that really happen?" and "Judi's a legend for walking out." One viewer, a retired teacher from Kent, later told reporters, "It was like watching Lear rage against the storm, heartbreaking and heroic." Backstage, Judi's publicist Sarah, a no-nonsense veteran of Bond press tours, guided her to a quiet lounge stocked with herbal teas and fresh scones, where Judi sank into a sofa, her laughter bubbling up unexpectedly. "Well, that was bracing," she quipped, accepting a ginger biscuit, her humor a balm against the sting. Calls flooded in immediately, her agent confirming a surge in Shadows of Elegance pre-orders, Ian McKellen texting a cheeky Bond would have thrown a martini. But Judi's mind wandered to deeper reflections on legacy, murmuring about how such spats echo the dismissals she faced in her youth. Meanwhile, ITV's control room buzzed like a war zone. Executives debated airing the full clip unedited, lawyers scanned for defamation risks, none as it stayed professional, and social media monitors tracked the explosion. #Judi walks out trending within minutes, amassing 50,000 tweets by break's end. Lorraine, retreating to her dressing room for a quick touch-up, confided in her producer, "I pushed too hard. She's an icon, not an adversary." The broader fallout from Judi Dench's dramatic departure rippled across media landscapes like a stone skipped over a vast pond, stirring waves of analysis, support, and schadenfreude that dominated discourse for days. Within hours, The Sun splashed "Dame Rage" across front pages, complete with freeze frames of Judi's furrowed brow, while The Telegraph offered a more nuanced take, "A Clash of Eras, Dench vs. The Modern Interview." Social media became a battleground. Twitter threads dissected every inflection, with #TeamJudi garnering 1.2 million impressions, users sharing clips of her past fiery interviews, like the 2018 Graham Norton spat over Brexit. Feminists rallied around Judi, framing the exit as resistance to soft ageism, with hashtags like #RespectTheDame trending globally, amplified by shares from Meryl Streep and Emma Thompson, who posted, "Judi's walkout is the mic drop we all need." Conversely, #StandWithLorraine trended among younger demographics, with influencers arguing the host was holding power to account, citing Lorraine's history of grilling politicians on women's rights. Late-night shows pounced. James Corden from LA spoofed the segment in a skit where he storms off mid-monologue, while on British soil, Jonathan Ross quipped, "Lorraine finally met her match. Shakespeare's sharper than any cue card." Print media delved deeper. The Guardian's Marina Hyde penned a 1,500-word essay on the perils of performative debate in daytime TV, praising Judi's authenticity while critiquing the setup as ratings bait. ITV faced heat too. A petition on Change.org demanding fairer guest protections hit 10,000 signatures overnight, prompting a defensive statement, "We celebrate open dialogue and regret any discomfort." Judi, ever the pro, broke her silence in a BBC Radio 4 interview 2 days later, her tone light but laced with steel.